intensify. The bill, based on further, this marks an acceleration of President Erdogan's plans. Turkey is allied with Libya's Bank, which is based in the capital, Tripoli. It's under growing pressure from the forces of the warlord, General Khalifa Haftar, which are trying to capture the city. The general is backed by Egypt, the UAE, and others. The interim president of Bolivia, Janine Áñez, is expelling the ambassador of Mexico and several Spanish diplomats in a growing row over their alleged interference in Bolivian affairs. Ms. Áñez took office when the socialist former leader, Evo Morales, was asked to install asylum in Mexico.
Right, today we're going to talk about time management. I'll just turn this off first.
The decision in La Paz to declare the matter persona non grata is another deterioration of the almost completely ruptured tone.
Alright, today we're talking about time management. Now, we've got to sort the social services out before we sort the hospital out. The hospital does need sorting out, but I'm not going to give any plans on the hospital yet. I want to sort social services out first. Now, 50 divided by 5. You have 50 clients. 50 divided by 5 equals 10. That means that you call 10 clients a day. Then you circulated all 50 clients in 1 week with a or computer screen that you fill out, like a spreadsheet, so that your boss can monitor what you're doing. At the moment, the boss doesn't really know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you work out what's going on. Because at the moment, you're making no contact at all. No contact whatsoever. Not since January, really. No contact. So, as there's no contact, I know there's something wrong with the system. Call it the system, well, it's actually you monkeys. You monkeys that work there. You don't listen to me. I've been telling you this since 2017. I've been trying to get this message across since 2017. 50 divided by 5. So we keep going on about this. 50 divided by 5 equals 10. 10 people a day. That's all you need to call. 10 people a day. Right, that'll do for now. If anyone logs on and asks any questions, we'll check. When people log on, I'll mention 50 divided by 5.
$1 million from a former pupil who wanted to give poor white boys the same help he'd received. The offer by a 96-year-old mathematics professor, Sir Brian Thwaites, has fueled debate about the law on discrimination. Here's Mike Sanders.
Sir Brian Thwaites believes poor white boys should get the financial assistance he did when he attended Dulwich College in London and Winchester College in southern England. As one of the worst performing ethnic cohorts, they're most in need, he argues. And why not, when the musician Stormzy pays for 2 black students to attend Cambridge University each year? Both schools rejected the proposed discrimination. But Trevor Phillips, who helped write Britain's Equality Act, said they'd misinterpreted the law. He said it was designed to offer equality of opportunity to the disadvantaged, in this case, poor white boys.
Mike Sanders reporting. BBC.
Hello, this is OS from the BBC World Service, coming to you live from the middle of the newsroom. I'm Vidya Arya. On the show, we will cross over to India, where we've been talking about the continuing protests against a controversial citizenship law. It has been alleged to discriminate against Muslims, a charge the government denies. Today, Twitter has been the battleground for those in support and against the law. And we'll get my colleague from the Delhi Bureau to explain more. But let's begin with the worst of the weathers are now in the state of Victoria, that is southeast of the country. Here's how ABC Radio started their news bulletin at 4 a.m. in Melbourne.
Good morning, ABC News with David Rollins. 8 bushfire emergency warnings remain active in Victoria as more than 1,000 firefighters continue to work through the night. There are 7 emergency warnings in Victoria's East Gippsland region and another near Corryong, east of Albury on the New South Wales border, where a fire is threatening lives and homes. Victoria State response.
That was just now in Melbourne. Now, temperatures in every state exceeded 40 degrees Celsius on Monday, and the BBC's Francis Mao in Sydney was covering the story.
The most affected areas and of most concern, I'd say, were in Victoria and South Australia. Particularly fires in Victoria were quite intense, and at one point on Monday afternoon, about 11 or 12 fires were burning simultaneously at emergency level, so that is the highest and most dangerous level for fires across the state. They were impacting to the east of Melbourne. They really impacted a popular holiday region there known as the East Skidlands. About 30,000 people were warned on Sunday to flee that area because the fires coming from the bushland to the north were predicted to race across to the coast. So this is the coastal holiday region, very popular with just local Australians who live in the cities, who during this Christmas and New Year period will travel down to the coast. But holidaymakers were being urged to leave this region because the winds and the heat today were predicted to drive those fires towards the coast. And authorities wanted people to leave early because they feared that what would happen, and what did happen today, is the major highway trekking through that state, the Princes Highway, would be shut off or be closed due to the fire. And that is actually what did happen. About a 300-kilometre stretch of the highway had to be shut down due to the threat of the fires. And then later in the afternoon, Victoria as well, another bushfire actually sprung up in the suburbs of the city of Melbourne itself. So we're not just talking about regional areas outside of Melbourne, which is Australia's second largest city, but in the city suburbs as well. So it was a really desperate and scary time today for firefighters in Victoria.
And you mentioned it's been a difficult day for firefighters. One person has lost their life. Tell us about that.
So like I say, it was already a really desperate day. And then around 7:30 p.m, absolutely really tragic news. We had the death of another volunteer firefighter. So listeners may remember just over a week ago in New South Wales, 2 volunteer firefighters, both fathers of young children, died while they were on their way late at night to a fire to the southwest of Sydney. And then today, news broke that another volunteer firefighter had also died. His truck had rolled over while he was on his way to another fire front. There were 2 other firefighters in that truck too, and they were injured, but are now in hospital, and we'll see how their progress goes.
Very tragic. And it is that time of the year, Francis, when the New Year's Eve fireworks become the centre of attraction in Sydney. But with the given situation, what's happening with that?
So Sydney's fireworks display, as one of the first major cities in the world to kick off the new year, traditionally they've always drawn so many visitors around the world to Sydney around the time of New Year, and they're watched by millions, not only in Australia. Millions do line the foreshore of Sydney Harbour to watch these fireworks display, but they're watched by millions around the world as well. This year there was quite a bit of questioning and criticism of this display going ahead. We're talking about $6.5 million worth of fireworks, funds and money literally being blown up into the sky. And people were pointing out on social media, pointing out, well, this is just a display of excess and frivolity, and perhaps those funds, those millions of dollars, should be spent on more constructive efforts to help with the firefighters, given the national crisis that the country is currently going through. That led to numerous petitions online, and the most popular of those petitions actually received 250,000 votes in the last few weeks. And it really prompted a response from the City of Sydney and Sydney's Mayor, Clover Moore, as well as the State Premier, the New South Wales Premier, particularly in defending that display.
So they are going ahead.
So yes, so today the final sign-off was given by the New South Wales Rural Fire Service. It really did depend on if there was not only a total fire ban across the state, but also on the fire conditions. So the Rural Fire Service today actually said, well, look, the fire conditions in Sydney City itself tomorrow aren't going to be at that level where the fireworks need to be caught off. Secondly, what should be noted is these are fireworks that are being blown up over Sydney Harbour, a massive body of water. So the risk of the fireworks actually, starting any fire in the middle of, urban Sydney is very, very unlikely. However, in other areas around New South Wales, in Sydney's western suburbs, Parramatta, which is a bit more near Bushland, their local fireworks display there has been caught off. And so have fireworks in regional centres such as the town of Orange, which has been very close to the bushfires, and also in the nation's capital city, Canberra. That region has also cancelled its fireworks display due to the fires. So there's a number of reasons, a number of controversies around the fireworks issue, but Sydney's famous New Year's Eve fireworks will be going ahead.
BBC's Francis Mao getting us the latest from Sydney. Now, we'll spend some time today with the story of the sweet environmental activist Greta Thunberg, who, as I'm sure you know by now, 2018 started skipping school on Fridays and sat outside the Swedish parliament to call for warming. Fast forward to the end of 2019, Greta Thunberg is Time magazine's person of the year. She's met with many world leaders, led climate strikes, sailed across the earth, and inspired people across the world to raise awareness. This morning, Greta Thunberg, who will be 17 this week, was put in charge of one of our domestic news programs, and Michal Hussain asked her about her experience of this year of campaigning, recognition, and fame.
It's been a very strange year. I mean, it was something no one could have predicted. In the beginning, I was always very surprised when more things started to happen, but then I just stopped taking it in, so I haven't really grasped what's happened during this last year because it's just too much. But it's been a very, very strange year.
Do you feel that your message is getting somewhere?
I feel definitely I'm being listened to, and we climate activists are being listened to, but that doesn't mean that what we are saying is translated into action. And the science is still being ignored, mostly.
Ignored by governments?
I mean, by pretty much by people in power, in politics, in finance, media, because there's a huge lack of awareness among people in general. That's my experience, traveling around to all these different places. But I mean, it's changing, it's slowly changing, but still it's been like that.
Even though in some countries, including the UK, now have a law for the country to be net zero carbon emissions by 2050, does that not give you hope?
That is just that the UK is, that people see that as a good sign. That is proof that this gap of understanding exists. Because if people were aware of what really going on, they would know that there is nowhere near enough. First of all, that net zero doesn't mean zero. And of course, if you include the aspect of equity, then the UK needs to do much, much, much more to do its fair share. And the goal of 2050 doesn't mean anything if just high emissions continue even now for a very few amount of years. Then the remaining carbon dioxide budget we have to stay below the 1.5, that budget will be gone.
So does that mean that you begin this new year with less optimism than you began 2019 with? Because you have travelled the world, you have spoken in high-profile places. Millions of people have been inspired by you to come out on the streets, and yet you still describe this gap between the science and the action.
I wouldn't say I'm less optimistic. I'm realistic, because if we do commit to the changes required, and if we succeed in doing that, then there's hope that we can definitely do it. But if we don't, then we won't do it. And we need to think about that in a realistic way, and of course with optimism. And once we start to act, hope will be everywhere. But I'm not surprised that this year has turned out the way it has. I mean, of course, I'm surprised what has happened with the Fridays for Future movement and everything, but I'm not surprised about the lack of action from people in power because honestly, I don't understand how people can be surprised. It's not like this is going to change overnight, so it needs to be a big shift, and that's what we're waiting for, this tipping point.
How have you dealt personally with your own profile through all of this? Some of what has come your way has been very personal. President of Brazil called you a brat. How do you feel about these kinds of attacks?
Those attacks are just funny because they obviously don't mean anything. Well, I guess of course it means something. It means that they are terrified of young people bringing change. But that is just a proof that we are actually doing something, and that they see us as a new threat.
President Trump has been vocal about you more than once, saying you have anger management issues. You nearly came face to face with him in New York.
Yeah.
What would you have said if you had the chance?
Honestly, I don't think I would have said anything because he's obviously not listening to scientists and experts. Why would he listen to me? So I probably wouldn't have said anything. Wouldn't have wasted my time.
Do you think he is one of those who sees you as a threat?
I don't know about that. But it's possible. Not me, of course. Me, myself alone, I'm not much of a threat, but it's that I'm a part of a big movement that they probably see as a threat.
How do you see your own future? You're still only 16. Are you going to carry on sitting outside the Swedish Parliament? Are you going to go back to school?
I hope I won't have to sit outside the Swedish Parliament for long. I hope that something happens and we won't have to do this. I hope I don't have to be a climate activist anymore. I'm gap year from school, so my school doesn't start until August. So until August, I'm trying to do what I can in ways that I can contribute. But I'm really looking forward to going back to school, and I just want to be just as everyone else. I want to have a normal life, not having to organize marches and so on, because that's not what I want to do. I want to educate myself and to just be like a normal teenager. But of course, this isn't a normal situation. We need to step out of our comfort zone.
But do you think this is your purpose in life? Do you see yourself as a lifelong activist?
Honestly, I don't know what will happen in the future. So I can't really answer that question. I think I'm too young to answer that question. I don't think anyone knew what they would be doing at 16 years old. So it's impossible to say. But I think the time crisis is only going to become more important and more urgent in the future. So there are big odds that I will be doing something with this.
You said there was a happiness ago when you were suffering from
I
depression.
think it was. I think a medicine in a way is to become active, because at least I felt like I'm doing everything I can, so there's not really, I can't do more, so there's no reason to be sad and feeling depressed. I know it doesn't work like that. You can't just decide to stop being depressed, but it really helps you getting out of that depression because it gives you a meaning.
Indian Swedish activist there, and when my colleague Michelle Hussain asked her about what was her answer to the question, what can you do individually to deal with the climate crisis, Greta said, read up and know your science. Worth remembering, read up and know your part of the BBC newsroom. And here are some more stories that journalists around me here have been working on. A cancer patient in Romania has died after she was set on fire during surgery. An electric scalpel used by surgeons ignited an alcohol-based disinfectant. Police in Bucharest have opened an investigation. A diplomatic argument involving Bolivia is spreading. Earlier, Bolivia's interim government expelled the Mexican ambassador and a couple of Spanish diplomats. Now, the former president, Evo Morales, fled to Mexico, and Bolivia accused Spain of helping some of his allies. In response, Spain is expelling 3 Bolivian diplomatic staff who work in Madrid. And an update on football's controversial VAR system, that's the video assistant referee. Football's lawmakers say it should not be too forensic when it comes to offsides and should only be used to reverse clear and obvious errors. 5 in the English Premier League were ruled out at the weekend, leading to a fair amount of criticism. Full story is on BBC Sports Online. Now, there's been a war of hashtags at the top of India's Twitter trends through today. It's all about the controversial new citizenship law known as the CAA. The hashtag India supports CAA was the top trend, replaced later in the day by India does not support CAA as opponents reacted. Remember, the controversy is that those opponents see the law as discriminating against Muslims. It offers a route to Indian citizenship for persecuted people from 3 neighboring countries, but Muslims aren't included. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who disagrees with that allegation and has more than 52 million Twitter followers, it was one of his tweets that fueled the supportive hashtag earlier, as the BBC's Kinjal Pandya explained to me today.
The Prime Minister has been talking in support of the CAA since last week, actually. In fact, on Sunday in the week before, when he addressed a rally in Delhi, he criticized the opposition indirectly, saying that the opposition has been spreading a lot of misinformation and people are not exactly aware of the law. In support of the CAA, Narendra Modi has also tweeted a video of Jaggi Vasudev, a very popular Hindu godman, was very well known for giving out speeches and his thoughts on geopolitics. And he's also known in many circles as someone who softly supports BJP. So with this tweet, the video in this tweet had an interview of Jaggi Vasudev by students, and he was clarifying what the CAA is and how it is not actually against Muslims. But India Support CAA has been trending for a few days now when the protests were happening, and there were also hashtags that were against CAA.
Have the protests died down in any way because of the increase in cold in Delhi? Because sometimes such protests just lose steam over a period of time?
Well, in other parts of India, yes, they have sort of slowed down. I wouldn't say they have died down yet because there were some protests that were planned this weekend, and we are hearing about more protests coming up in the new year in the very first week. And in Delhi, students have continued their protests in the prestigious Jamia Millia Islamia University. Surprisingly, in suburban Delhi, in an area called Shaheen Bagh, women have come out in protest against this new law. A large number of them Muslims, but also women from other religions. They're all coming out and sitting in the open in really cold weather, and they're sitting throughout the afternoon, overnight, and just holding placards and talking to activists. They're not women who are going out and working. And we have actually spoken to a lot of them, and they are genuinely expressing concerns over the law. They are talking about the kind of fear Muslim families have after this law has, and even before that, because of the National Register of Citizens. We've never really seen women from the Muslim community coming out and protesting against the law so strongly, and this is, if you look at the protests across the country, it is for the first time since Modi came to power in 2014 during his first term, that people in general, from civil society, activists, people from different areas of life have come out and protested against something that Modi and his government have done.
And the way you describe it, Kinjal, it seems that protests have largely been peaceful now, but they were violent.
50 divided by 5 equals 10.
Allegations of
Call 10 clients a day.
But a lot of
So it's
that
about 20
information
minutes.
wasn't really coming through because of
20-minute job.
shutdowns imposed in the
20-minute maintenance job, 20 minutes checking job, 20 minutes auditing job.
Uttar Pradesh is one state where the
10 minutes maybe.
took a wrong turn and went very violent in different parts of Uttar Pradesh.
And it will
especially in
make your life so much easier.
There was
You might be chief executive of Oasis Space, your management at Oasis Space, Dean Ramjit, you didn't listen to me. I've told you before. You don't listen. I'll keep repeating this again and again and again until I get a result.
19 people die in this state. 3 days of protest between 20 and 22nd December. Over the weekend, we have seen a video going viral on social media where we can see the superintendent of police in Meerut district of Uttar Pradesh in Western UP, who is telling protesters and men in the locality that they can go to Pakistan and saying you live in India but praise some other part of the world. And this video, really got a lot of traction on social media. After which he has said that I was saying this because protesters were saying Hail Pakistan, which is why I reacted in this manner. But we haven't seen any evidence of protesters singing this kind of praise for Pakistan or saying Hail Pakistan. But this has definitely raised questions about police action against people and the kind of fear they are instilling in people in Uttar Pradesh.
BBC's Kinjal Pandya giving us all that context and update. Has responded to those allegations, denying them. The police have also denied them. In fact, they have said that anyone who damages public property will have to pay a fine. And that's in reference to the clashes that have happened between protesters and the police.
This is the BBC World Service. And now.
I have here 3 plastic bottles. These 3 have carbon or 2 carbon.
We are going to look at a particular process involving the industrial. This is also as well.
It's a bit more this. Do you want to know why we dreamed? Or just how to prepare it? Why don't I keep this? What is the point of laughter? We've got it covered. Find us on the BBC World Service at bbcworldservice.com.
Hello, this is Divya Arya live in the BBC's newsroom. Welcome to OS. On the show today, we're going to speak to some Jewish people in New York and London about anti-Semitism after events in each city over the weekend. And we also continue to focus on climate change on the show as we played you a conversation with the teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg in the first half hour. And we'll hear now from her father in a few minutes.
BBC News with David Austin. The interim government in Bolivia says it's expelling the ambassador of Mexico and 2 Spanish diplomats in a growing row over their alleged interference in Bolivian affairs. The decision was announced by the interim president of Bolivia, Janine Áñez, who's given the diplomats 72 hours to leave the country. Spain has announced that in retaliation it will expel 3 Bolivian diplomats. The Nicaraguan government has released dozens of political prisoners, including a group of 16 people arrested last month inside a Catholic church. Their arrest caused outrage in Nicaragua. The 16 opposition activists were arrested after trying to give water to 9 women who were on a hunger strike to demand the release of their children and other political prisoners. The Turkish government has sent a bill to Parliament that will allow it to deploy troops in Libya as the conflict there intensifies. Putting the law before Parliament marks an acceleration of President Erdogan's plans. Turkey is allied with Libya's UN-backed government in Tripoli. The court in Sudan has handed down death sentences to 29 members of forces in connection with the killing of a protester last February. Ahmad al-Khair died in custody after being arrested at a demonstration. A Chinese scientist who said he created the world's first genetically edited babies has been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Professor He Jiankui was found guilty of violating a law banning experiments on human embryos. The song urging action on climate change by a choir of young German girls has triggered death threats against the German television station broadcasting. John Burrow, the station director of WDR2 in Cologne, said that he was shaken by the threats and promised the full force of the law against the abusers. That's the latest BBC News.
Hello, this is OS with me, Divya Arya. We sit here every weekday in the middle of the BBC newsroom to bring you the latest global stories as they come into us here. And our team also keeps their eyes and ears on social media to reflect on the conversations you are having there. And we spotted that there's been a lot of conversation online about anti-Semitism after two stories from the weekend. One, the mass stabbing at a Hanukkah celebration north of the New York City. The other, a series of anti-Semitic graffiti across areas of North London with large Jewish communities. So what does it feel like to be Jewish in both places at the moment? To discuss that, joining us on the program are Norman Lipresh, who's a writer who lives in North London, and Paula Maxwell at the Orange Town Jewish Center in New York, just about 20 minutes away from Wednesday, where the attack took place. Thank you both for taking the time to speak to us. And if I may begin with you, Rabbi Paula, how did you feel when you heard about what had happened?
Oh, well, 50 divided by 5 equals 10. 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 10 clients called a day. 50 clients called in 1 week. Wow. With an assessment form to be filled out online. Wow.
Singing and had a funny.
That's my idea.
We were very
sort out social services and mental health. I don't know about the children's one, but 50 clients, same thing.
Anti-Semitism.
Ring the parents.
And
whatever.
I heard the news
Whatever you have to do.
at the rabbi's home.
But we've got to do two calls. One to the kid and one to the parents.
Grateful we are that our security guard was standing at our door. We have security guards who I know later lives to us. We don't take it for granted. They're a part of the fabric of our lives now. And so I think the shock was tempered with gratitude, all mixed up together.
And you said security guards now. So is that a very recent thing that you've done?
I know it's part of our lives. It's easy to forget. It really is. I've been at it for 18 years. About 5 years, we for the first time had to for our High Holy Day services for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which of course are times when many Jews come to synagogue. About 3 years ago, we started having security guards for the Saturday morning services for Shabbat. And now we have security guards really whenever there are gatherings that are more than a typical class or a program, smaller program or meeting in the synagogue. And for those, our doors are locked.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
3 or 4 years then at night, our doors are locked. So yeah, it's
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Norman, I wanted to bring you in this sense of
1, 2, 1, 2.
Do you feel that as well when you see this kind of graffiti being put out, which is obviously unusual?
Let's separate. Lack of safety is something that's not new. For the past 25 years in this country and in most countries across Europe, there have been security guards at Jewish schools and synagogues.
1, 2, 1, 2, mic check. Check.
And various others who deal in hate. So the security threat is not new.
One check.
Security threat.
50 divided by 5 equals 10. 10 calls a day, 50 clients in 1 week. That's how I manage my time. I divide things up, split it up. I can manage the NHS, my music business, and Parliament all at the same time, and run a new world order where I am the emperor in charge. Because I have to find this example. I'll pick my team. I'll pick my team. Dr. Sam can be on my team. Norman can be on my team. Dr. Sam and Norman can be on my team. I'll manage them. Dr. Sam doesn't even need managing. He manages time effectively. Norman needs the same time management skills that Dr. Sam's got. Dr. Sam is fine.
Dripping star of
At least I've seen he manages to make time. He manages to make time. That's the point. He manages. And I can manage to make time to see each and every person. Or I did communicate with each and every person in a chain or on this page. It's on this page or on my phone now.
Yes.
I've got to advertise my phone here now.
Coordinated way. Yeah, my family's lived in London for 150 years. We have experience in two world wars and the Blitz and everything else. And the shock of this assault is something that leaves us short of breath. We haven't seen this before, and we need to look and think very, very carefully about the social causes and the consequences.
Norman, I want to respond to what you said about the physical, like as if you've been physically assaulted. For me, when I think about Great Britain, being part of Europe, and so much has happened all over, I wonder if the feeling there is different than here in the States. But I did want to add that just within the last 2 weeks, I'm sure you know that there was a synagogue in Beverly Hills that was entirely trashed, and their Torah scrolls were destroyed, thrown on the ground, and torn up, sort of like a reenactment of the Hanukkah story, as you will, where the great temple was destroyed by enemies of the Jewish people. And I'm wondering if you, in your experience, think that it's different to be part of Europe, so close to France and Germany and so many other places where cemeteries have been, defaced and et cetera, et cetera.
I think every country has its own issues. You could say that we're close to Sweden. There have been some terrible incidents in Sweden, but I think what's going on here is specific to this country in the same way as what's going on in the United States is specific to the United States. I'm a historian. I just published a book called Genius and Anxiety, looking at the ways that Jews contributed disproportionately to world civilization between the middle of the 18th and the 19th and the 20th century, driven all the while by an awareness that they were barely tolerated. Now, that loss, that, as it were, intolerance, it seemed to vanish after the Holocaust. It seemed as though the Jews had earned the right of acceptance because of the terrible things that Hitler has done. And now we start to question that again. Now we start to be aware of that fragility of being perhaps not wanted.
50 divided by 5 equals 10. 10 clients a day. I know it's 50. It was 50. It probably still is 50. It's still 50. Well, what are you doing? I told you in 2017. I told you in 2017 in December.
What do you think can be done?
In December 2017, I was straight to Bentley House when I worked it out. As soon as I worked it out, I went straight there and I asked to speak to Dean. And the woman presented me with a depot guy and a social worker. 2 people. I asked for one, got 2 people. A depot guy, but I had tablets at home anyway. How did she know that I wasn't taking tablets? How does she know? Why's the depot guy there? Who made that decision? This is the way this place is being run at the moment. So I asked to speak to Dean. Now, in the old place, where Dean used to be the boss, I could see him whenever I wanted to. I thought it was still the same. I can't believe that he sends depot people and social workers, 2 people. Not even just my social worker, a depot person with them. When all I'm doing is coming down and doing a tip. 50 divided by 5 equals 10. And that was in 2017.
More self-protective.
All right.
But the way that we see forward for fighting against anti-Semitism is to talk beyond.
I'm willing to assist anyone who contacts me on this screen or on my phone. We're in a world now where the public can call my East-Life phone, but it's my Johnny phone there as well. And it's also shared vision. It's all 3 companies rolled into one.
It's true, but I also feel that all human.
I've got another phone line as well, but I'm not giving out that number.
One for the other. After they're done.
That's for my local community.
people of color, or people of other sexual orientation.
I need to have a phone that rings, but I've got another phone.
There's a very specific kind of hate that turns into anti-Semitism that is obviously ingrained by stereotypes, etc. But we need to work together. I just wanted to mention, Norman, that tonight here in Rockland County, we're having a vigil.
In South Harrow, I give out a different number to online. Online, I give out another number. But in South Harrow, I give out another number. That's a little tip for you, that 2 phones.
But it's not just Jews.
One for South Harrow, and one for the world. The world can call me 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day you can message me. You can email me 24 hours a day. You can certainly text or email me 24 hours a day. And I'll get that in office time or whenever I'm available. Whenever I see it. Maybe it'll be office time. What am I supposed to do in office time today? Let me have a look.
The whole community, Jewish and non-Jewish, so that it's open for events to everyone and around the clock. And all of this was done in coordination with the wider community. So it's a place of hope and integration for everyone. Doing a tremendous amount of charity work and help for the homeless and everyone around. It is a place of comfort. To see a place of comfort as well as prayer, as well as a house of God being attacked like that is quite horrific. We have.
I have got a job to do, so I'll do it.
And look at how we move forward, and also look at what we can do to do, as Sylvia said, to try to eliminate the sources of hate. Anti-Semitism has a very long history. It goes back 2,000 years. It metamorphosed in the 19th century from religious hatred to cultural animosity, and it's gone through various other phases now to where it has become a political tool. What we witnessed both in the United States and in the United Kingdom over the past 5 years is a heightening of political language, an injection of extremism that we haven't seen before, of linguistic violence that we haven't seen before. I'm not going to talk about the United States because I'm sure Paula will give her own take on that. But in this country, we have seen 2 forms of anti-Semitism that we haven't seen either before or for a very long time. One is the anti-Semitism of the nationalist right, which seems to have been fostered by the whole Brexit revolution, and I use the word revolution aptly. And the other is anti-Semitism of the far left, which is couched as anti-Zionism, but is still the old hatred of Jews. And these 2 extremes, both using the same language, both using the same phraseology, seem to have demonized Jews as their principal whipping boys and whipping girls. And that's the situation that we are in at the moment. That's what we have to get past. One thing that we have to get through to our political leaders, to our colleagues, to our neighbors, to everyone, we need to temper the public language. We need to talk.
That is a good thought to close this conversation, Norman. We're really running short of time. We need to have a conversation and temper the tone of that. Norman Resch, thank you for joining us from North London, and Rabbi Paula Maitril, thank you.